The .30-40 Krag was a cartridge developed in the early 1890s to provide the U.S. Armed Forces with a smokeless powder cartridge suited for use with modern small-bore repeating rifles, to be selected in the 1892 small arm trials. Since the cartridge it was replacing was the .45-70 government, the round was considered small bore at the time. The design selected was ultimately the Krag Jørgensen, formerly adopted as the M1892 Springfield. It was also used in M1893 and later Gatling guns. History and development. Though the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps had adopted limited numbers of smokeless powder bolt-action rifles, the .30-40 was the first cartridge adopted by the U.S. Army that was designed from the outset for smokeless powder. After a brief experiment with a 230-grain bullet loading, the .30 Army loading was standardized in 1894 using a 220-grain metal-jacketed round-nose bullet with 40 grains of nitrocellulose powder. This loading developed a maximum velocity of 2,000 feet per second in the 30-inch barrel of the Krag rifle, and 1,960 feet per second in the 22-inch barrel of the Krag carbine. The rimmed .30-40 round was also known as .30 Army or .30 US, although the .30-40 Krag was the first smokeless powder round adopted by the U.S. military. It retained the caliber charge naming system of earlier black powder cartridges, i.e. a .30 caliber bullet propelled by 40 grains of smokeless powder. The first use of a smokeless powder round by Winchester was a single shot in .30-40, and it was one of only 3 rounds chambered for the 1895 Winchester lever-action, introduced in 1896. For the outset, the .30-40 cartridge proved popular for hunting, and was chambered in a variety of firearms. In 1899, a Krag in .30-40 caliber was used to shoot the world record Rocky Mountain elk. The record stood until the latter half of the 20th century. In October 1899, after reviewing the experiences of the Spanish-American War, U.S. Army Ordnance authorities developed a new loading for the .30 Army used in the Krag rifle, in an attempt to match the ballistics of the 7x57mm Mauser cartridge employed by Spanish forces in that conflict. The new loading increased the muzzle velocity in the rifle version of the Krag to 2,200 feet per second at 45,000 psi. However, once the new loading was issued, reports of cracked locking lugs on service Krags began to surface. In March 1900, the remaining stocks of this ammunition were returned to the arsenals, broken down, and reloaded back to the original 2,000 feet per second specification. In 1903, after recommendations from the Infantry Small Arms Board, the U.S. Army formally adopted a higher velocity .30 caliber replacement for the .30-40 or .30 Army cartridge. The new cartridge was designated by its year of adoption, the .30-03. Rifles, handguns, and other weapons chambered in .30-40 Krag, Krag Jørgensen, Winchester high wall, Remington Lee bolt action, Remington rolling block, Gatling gun M1893 and later, Winchester Model 1895, Ruger No. 1, Ruger No. 3, Thompson Center Encore.